I enjoy
Mhm.
pickling eggs. It's fun. And I like what
I
happens
mean, yeah.
afterwards. Hi, I'm Dan,
And I'm Can.
and this is the Dan and Can podcast. Welcome back, outlaws, heretics,
You're coming up with all
sinners.
sorts of names. I'm going to
Outlaws
suck on a cough drop.
was our original
Okay.
name for everyone because we were faith
Without laws. Where
without
we at? Oh,
laws.
yeah. Before we ever put anything on any social media,
We were
Faith Without Laws was the name I came up with. And I mushed it all together into one word. And what it was supposed to be, you could read it either way, because people would ask me, is this faith without like any laws, or is it faith with outlaws like outcasts? And I was like, sure. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes.
The answer
So,
is yes.
that's how we
I did
roll.
like that one though. That was a good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Now we're just Dan and Can.
We're boring.
Hey, are you excited?
For what?
This weekend.
What is it?
Your birthday.
Oh, yay. I'll be 49.
49.
Last year in my 40s.
It's all good. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Son just texted he lost tonight.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, it's all right.
Does he seem okay?
I don't know. It just said I lost. So text him some
That's the thing.
encouragement.
When kids like the emotional stuff in the teens and school age, it's harder because you feel like your kid's heart's broken, or they're hurting in some way, and it's just part of life, and can't make it better like you can some physical pain.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But it builds character and learns
It does.
party lessons, which kind of ties into tonight. And let's start off with a get to know you segment. And we're going to go in the time traveling machine, Candy, on this get to know you. And we're going to go to a couple different eras of our life. So I need you to go in a way back machine to your young life when you can remember. And individuality. What did it feel like to you? Did you feel like an independent little girl, able to do anything when you were young? And on these, when we go to different times, I'll start to give you time to think. So my grade school years, shall we say, if we're focusing here, I felt fairly independent. It was a different era,
What do you mean by independent?
Do
you mean authentic?
I had my individuality. I was able to.
Okay. So that's what I thought. I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't mean like independent, like you took care of yourself.
No,
you mean like
individuality.
Yes.
I was able to build my own character, and I was still kind of in a box. I had to play the sports that I had to play, and I enjoyed doing it. It wasn't like twisting my arm to get me to do anything. I enjoyed playing baseball and basketball and football when I did.
Well, yeah, because there was a positive.
Yeah.
You would never know. Maybe you would have liked music and stuff, but your family didn't go that direction. So
no. I was in a definite box that followed a path, and that's what I went on. But I was still able to kind of explore around myself, discover some things about myself, have my own personality. Now, in your grade school years, what do you think?
I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, so it's not like I wasn't in any sports when I was younger at all. The first time I was ever in a sport was when I was in 7th grade, because I was at a Christian school where some friends played on a YMCA team, and the dad coached. And so I asked my parents, and they paid for me to be a part of that. Because I would get rides too. They didn't, because they were working so much. There were so many of us. And I liked that. I kind of created an identity around like loving basketball. I don't really like basketball that much. I don't care for it. But at the time, in the Christian school that I was in, that was in 7th grade, that we played basketball every day after school. I was with friends. There wasn't too many friends, but the girl that I really was drawn to was very much into basketball. So her whole family was, so I kind of got into basketball. Before that, naturally in public school, that's where I could explore things, right? And when I would stay at my grandparents', I was very artistic, extremely artistic. That's what I love to do. I love to write. I love to draw. I loved anything that was making stuff with my hands. So that's where I naturally went. And I won like awards in elementary for art things that I made.
Yeah, and you had poetry too that.
Yeah, I mean, I did really good like with that stuff, but it died off when I went into this Christian school because the arts were not really important. Okay. So I kind of just put it on the back burner. So yes, that's my experience.
So Christian school was roughly high school. I mean, you went a little earlier than that.
But it was middle school and high school, yeah.
So let's focus on them years. Again, I was still in this athletic box, because I was an all-star. No, was not an all-star athlete.
You wanted to be, but you were striving for it.
I was a forgettable.
No, you weren't.
In the athletic realm, they're like, oh, you
were an athlete, but you weren't like, you didn't stand out as exceptional. No. But you could play some ball.
I was on the team.
You were pretty good at baseball.
Yeah, I never made our team. We had a really, really good team.
You mean in that school?
Yeah.
Well, that school, yeah. So I can see why. But if you would have been in like a different school, you probably would at least got on the team.
But we were still allowed through high school to it was a prep school. So we were able to kind of figure out what we wanted. We were given a basic education, but we had art classes. We could take art, we could take architecture. Those were our two options. We didn't have shop class because we were an elitist school. But we could explore these.
None of you guys were going to be doing the work of building the things, but you design it.
We were going to learn how to pay the people to do that for us.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's interesting. Yeah, true.
But we had that exploration in there to kind of find some different nuances in what we liked. Still kind of in a box, but I didn't really realize it as much, what it was kind of shaped to do, but was still able to we were free to explore our own character and personality.
Within strong boundaries.
And that's going to be the case in anything. We'll discuss that a little later, but yeah, you're going to have boundaries no matter what. It's just kind of how strict those boundaries are. And I think ours, I wouldn't consider it very strict. I mean, we had it was pretty close to societal norms with a little Catholic dash of flavoring in there.
But even like societal norms are restrictive in a lot of ways. Like what's normal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't really go outside because you're going to get made fun of.
Yes.
Or people are going to be like, that's weird. It's different because we are our attention is drawn to different, but we don't want to be different. Yeah. Because we don't want that attention, but yet we are all very unique and we suppress it.
So, but I had some wings to fly. They weren't huge, but I had a few wings to fly in that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So your high school.
I, quite frankly, well, I kind of told you, and then we had a volleyball team and I played on that and I was pretty good at volleyball, but would I have been on a public school team? Would I have made it? I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't really, I mean, I liked playing sports. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. I like movement and stuff. Would I have picked it? If I could have picked anything, I kind of probably would have gone into dance, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to lean more to, were you able to discover yourself, or how much were you caged into?
No, what I'm trying to say is it was kind of picked for me. There wasn't, like I've said, I was really into writing, drawing, that kind of stuff. Sketching, I did not do that throughout all of high school. I stopped completely. Yeah. So when I started popping back up was in my kids, when I would watch them do it because they had the freedom to do so.
And we were actually encouraged, if we had kids that were better writers. So we had a writing club, and they published they might once or twice a year, there might be a book of poetry that'd be published inside the school with the kids' poetry written in it, or different.
I did write some poetry in high
So,
school.
but
I
we
just didn't give
actually
it to anybody.
we had clubs in the school that would encourage this and
Mm,
would allow you to be
yeah.
published within the school.
Yeah. No.
Um, and you know, we had the music, the band. I mean, our band wasn't exceptional by any means, but you're allowed to play. So different things like that. If you had interest, it was explored. We had drama. You know, we had kids that were in plays,
I did have drama at church that
but
I was in.
that was church drama. You weren't. We were doing, you know, different
Oh, they had it at
modern.
school, I guess. We did have it at school because I
Yeah,
was in a melodrama. I did, and we did. I sang a solo. We did have some plays that we would do.
yeah. But was it
So there was
religious
some.
based or was it actually a script that
Actually, the
you?
melodrama wasn't, which I thought was really interesting because I was the
Hmm,
heroine in it, and I kind of liked it. It wasn't religious at all. It was just goofy,
okay,
and I remember thinking, "This is strange," but I just embraced it because it was fun.
interesting.
But yeah, that is interesting. You know the school I went to. So,
Yeah,
but I would say that the focus of the school was like they were going to develop men as preachers if they could, some sort of spiritual leaders of some
yeah,
sort. And for me, in this small school, it was basically maybe give us a little of entertainment, like we can play volleyball and stuff that's safe. Like we didn't even have cheerleaders. We were the cheerleaders, but we dressed normally and just cheered on the side. I mean,
yeah.
that's really
And that's where we didn't
but
have cheerleaders either, but it was an all boys
because you were
school.
a
So
boys' school.
yeah,
Yeah. But I think it was the in the back of their mind, these women are going to grow up and get married
yeah,
and run homes.
yeah.
They're not going to be out in the
It
workforce. So
was
there was no real push
it was more than in the
for
back of the mind. It was forefront. This is your role.
yeah, I mean, it was never, no one ever asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. That was
Hmm.
not something, I don't know, maybe my grandparents, but my parents, that was never, what do you want to be? What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
I didn't, so I really, also there was this fear of Jesus coming back anytime.
Oh yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
like, I was so scared I wasn't going to get to grow up. I wanted to be a mom and have kids and stuff. So I didn't know if that was going to happen. And I would kind of beg God to please stall so I can at least get married and have a child. And then I felt guilty about that. So yeah, I didn't really dream that much. I really,
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't
Yeah.
because it wasn't something that was even possible for me.
Yeah. Yeah. When looked at
Which that sounds really sad and pathetic, actually.
a little bit, but that I think a lot of people will resonate, especially a lot of Christian women that have
Yeah,
went through it.
probably.
It'll resonate with them. So let's get in the time machine. Let's hop in, and this next section gets kind of blurry because our college years kind of meshed with our early marriage,
Yeah, we got
early
married.
all this. So, and I think if we go, let's say we got married in '97, so let's take it from '97. So our college years were kind of a little more. I think I had a little more wings in college. So I was family independent. I didn't live at home. Had my own thing, and I was exploring a
I
lot of
didn't
things.
either for a few months. I
Yeah.
did move out with a friend, but that friend was pretty religious, and there was still some monitoring of their
Yeah.
family. My parents never came to my apartment, so
No.
there was no monitoring by my parents.
No. So early marriage. We had first child in '99, married '97, child '99. I'd say let's go up to about 2010. I think there was a progression because in our
That's
early
when our last
marriage,
baby was born.
yeah, our early
Okay.
marriage was kind of an open and free. We still were
Yeah, it
going
was
on
kind of
stuff.
fun.
We actually
It was
went
fun.
to some bars every now and then, you know,
We
guitars
played
and
video games at
Cadillacs.
night. Remember that? We
Yeah,
would
we
play.
played Resident Evil.
We had
and,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had our first child, and things started changing because we started
Which is
getting
natural.
plugged into church.
Yeah.
And,
It's natural.
Yeah.
I remember starting to go to church again because we weren't going to church.
Yeah.
And then I would go because you would be, well,
I had to work Sundays.
you had to
Yeah.
work Sundays conveniently. And so I would go with my dad and my sisters sometimes. And I would take our daughter. And at first we were kind of church hopping because nobody was going anywhere consistently. So we were trying to find a place. And it was difficult with her, you know, because I was nursing and I would have to go out, and I loved actually having to nurse in the middle of the service. I'm like, sorry, I have to go sit out in the calm space where I'm away from all of this. But yeah, there was a tug to get her, like, now I need to like pay attention to, I want this child to know Jesus because I want her to
Yeah.
go to heaven, right?
Yeah.
I
We had to get
mean,
her indoctrinated.
I thought I was good, but I'm like, she's not going to know if I don't get her, you know, and maybe
Yeah.
it's just natural that you're going to get that pull. I don't know, but yeah, that's
Well,
what I felt.
it's what we were designed to do in the faith. You came up through it and you were told your whole life this is the answer to everything. So then you have children. Well, I need them to be with me in the afterlife too. So I'm going to force them
Because
through
you
all
love
this
your
too.
children.
Yeah.
You're not doing it because you're evil or you
Yeah.
hate your
You
children.
think
You
it's
do
the
it because you
best.
absolutely love them and you want them, you believe there's a literal hell that they're going to go to if they don't
So
believe it, you know?
I think it's
You
kind of
want to be with
interesting
them.
because we went to kind of a loose seeker church. It wasn't any meat and potatoes teaching by any means. It was pretty much entry level teaching that went
No,
on
but
there.
it was kind of nice. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. I didn't mind it
It
because you
was
could
laid
go in
back.
and
It
go
was
out. You
light.
didn't
Yeah.
get bombarded. You didn't have to like,
Yeah.
it was lazy, I guess.
They knew
but
when we didn't show up because when we didn't show up, we didn't drop off a tithe check. So after a couple weeks,
that's true.
and there was one time
That
we
was
showed
true.
up and we just didn't have money.
Yeah.
And we didn't give the tithe check for a couple weeks. And they called and said, "Hey, we noticed you haven't been here. Is everything all right?" And we're like, "No, we've been there." And then we realized, oh, wait, we haven't given tithe in 3 weeks.
Which that kind of irritates. That's probably when we were like about ready to leave. But I will say we made some good friends there. There was people there that were very loving and very kind.
Oh,
I am
definitely
not going to knock that church. Yes, the one thing that irritated me was they started teaching 40 days of purpose. And then the second year, they taught it one January and then the next January. And you know how I am. I like intellectually stimulating stuff. And so the next year we start that book again. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't do this. I cannot. There has not been enough time between these.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do the 40 days of purpose again. And I was like, and I dreaded it. I didn't like it. But I will say that there was some just very, very nice people went there. And it wasn't super judgmental, at least as far as we were concerned. We didn't have teenagers doing all sorts of things, or we didn't have, you know what I'm saying? We had little kids. We were a young family. Everybody that looked like us was, I mean, it was just easy, you know, it was.
It was. And then, and like you said, we kind of got tired of that because we had some other influence in our life that was in our ear talking about how this wasn't right, it wasn't strong enough. So we ended up getting more and more and more strict in our doctrine. And in that time, I think our individuality, our independence started shrinking. Because
our world got smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah.
The cage we were in shrunk and shrunk and shrunk because we kept putting all these rules and regulations and this is what it is. And this is the path. And
it's not that anybody just placed it on us, though they did. It was more, we allowed it. We were like, okay, we'll follow it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't, there were sometimes we would buck some things, but we would keep it quiet.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be ashamed. We didn't want to be considered different in the group, you know, even though we didn't think exactly like them. And we thought some of the things were weird and so cliquey and small. We just kept our mouths shut and followed the rules as much as possible.
And that led us to another church that loosened up a little bit, but we still had that strong, rigorous, just strict Christianity,
like Bible, like they thought they had the truth.
We loosened
in the
up a little bit,
it.
but we were still pretty strict in it.
Yeah,
and
I would agree with that. But again, as we came out of that tight closed, because we were in a very small church, there was 20 people max, maybe, you know, and there was one family that kind of controlled everything in that small one. And that was when it got real toxic. That was the time where I actually stood in front of the mirror and said, who are you? Like, I do not like this person. This isn't me. I don't know who this is. I was pretty miserable toward the end of that place. So when we left, and that caused a lot of turmoil in that church when we left, but we go to a new one. Yes, it opened up a little bit more. We were bringing that haughty, judgmental, legalistic mindset, even though that small church thought they were the least legalistic, they were the most in our experience.
Yeah.
Then we go to this other church and we brought that in with us. So it did soften as we were there, but we naturally gravitated towards people who were more rigid. That's really what happened. Not everybody in that church was like that, but
No.
we gravitated towards those who basically thought they were superior in their understanding
Yeah.
of God. And so
Yeah.
it was still there, and there was a lot of them there, but there was some nice people there too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nice
So
people at all of them.
that was everything up to our deconstruction, which will lead us into today's episode.
Yeah.
We're not going to do a game today because I couldn't figure out one to tie in. And quite
That's
frankly,
all right.
there's a couple different topics that I want to get to. We'll see if we can get to both or not, but they're on that.
I figured for games, a good idea for games would be, let's start doing some would you rathers, and we can make them deconstruction style. I'll start writing some up. Would that be kind of fun? That could be our games. We just ask a question.
Sure,
all right.
You can do that.
I'm just going to add to my task of things to do.
There we go. So to start off this first thing with all this that we just went over in mind, because it really looked like we just kept shrinking our world as we grew. Candy disappeared. We kept shrinking our world the more and more we were getting into faith. No matter the church we were in, we just shrank everything around us in our experience. Our bubble got really small. Which leads me to a Bible verse. And I know all you ex-Christians out there love Bible verses.
Don't get trigger warning right here. Trigger warning.
So, I better mark that down. So
what?
In this verse is, I must decrease so he may increase. Just a simple little phrase. I don't even know if it's a full verse in the Bible. It's probably a part of a verse. I can't remember offhand.
Do you know who said it?
It was John the Baptist to Jesus, or to his people that he's preaching to.
About Jesus, yeah.
About Jesus. And that little verse was, in hindsight, so big, and maybe not be directly talked about or referenced, but the subject matter was so important to the faith that we were in. And it really,
before we go on, I want to talk about this verse for a second.
Yes, ma'am.
How was it taught to us?
It was that we had to diminish basically our light so his light could increase.
Exactly,
So
something like that.
if we were all using the same fuel source, say it was oil, and everyone had a wick, we had to decrease trim our wicks down so we weren't be so bright, so the light could focus on him. Because anytime our light, and so then any accomplishment we had in our life, we had to diminish that, because now you're stealing away from Jesus. Give him the glory. That's why you have football players out on Saturdays and Sundays. First and foremost, I want to give this up to Jesus. You know, he was out there and he threw for 450 yards today and 7 touchdowns. And I wouldn't have been able to done it without him and by my side.
Exactly.
Like,
they'll do this first. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Jesus honestly didn't do anything in your game.
Yeah.
That was your raw talent.
The other team was probably
effort.
praying to Jesus too for them to win.
It was your practice, everything that went on.
All the effort you put in. Yeah. I will say, and I'm just going to say this as a side note, because I agree with you. That's how it was taught to us. And, but I do want to just do a side note, but I don't want to focus on this, that I would say that verse does not mean that in context. In context, the people that came up to John the Baptist were like, Jesus is baptizing people. Like, what are you going to do about it? Because John the Baptist was the one that did the baptizing. And they're like, are you jealous, basically? Yeah. Are you jealous? And he's like, he must increase, but I must decrease. John the Baptist, in my opinion, represents law. He represents, legalism. And Jesus represents this spirit, this newness of life, this awakening. And so, yes, this basically, so I would read that verse now and go, the law or the religion needs to decrease so that I can increase, or that the spirit in me, which is me, combined with God, can increase. So, but I don't want to talk about that, but I just want to say that there's ways that you can read that verse and actually in a very healthy spiritual way.
A way to look at it would be, John was baptizing in the rights of the law. Okay, this is what's called to us because of the law dictated. Jesus was baptizing to free people from the law.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same baptism. It was completely different. And John's saying,
it was the old and the new clashing.
We're getting rid of the old. The old needs to diminish so the new can take over and be free.
Which, as someone who's deconstructed, you can say that old life of yours gone and you need to let go of it. And the new life needs to continue to increase. But that aside, because I do want you to see that, but you don't have to make the Bible. I'm not trying to like defend the Bible and try to make it. I'm just saying they don't even read the context. It's not even about the context.
No, and that's a good point, because
you are right.
The whole teaching that we received was the one I mentioned.
About yourself decreasing.
Is John directly saying, and it's in the Bible, that your personality has to go. So that
that's how it's read. Yeah.
And I mean, that's basically what it was taught. It was, don't take pride in anything. Pride will cometh before the fall. Don't take responsibility for any accomplishments you had. And I remember doing this all the time as, well, thank Jesus that happened today. $20 bill blows across the parking lot and you pick it up. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me that. It's the fucking wind and chance.
And someone, I can't remember if this happened to me, because my memories are, if it happened to me or to somebody else that I saw, they were saying something that they did and like, God did that, not you. You don't get to take credit for it. And I remember being like, that is an awful thing to say. Either it was said to me or somebody else, but I remember feeling like that sounds so gross. Yeah. Like you just diminished. They were so excited, and now you've kind of like put them in their place. Kind of, it's just condescending. I don't know.
Yeah, but that whole teaching is geared to stripping away identity, individuality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because
that's how they teach it. Yep.
If your flame is shining bright, then you're stepping out as this individual, this uniqueness, and we can't have that. And I remember, because a lot of this is hindsight 2020, where I can see I was diminished so much. But inside of it, I thought, man, I'm free to have this character. I just have to operate within these rules. And I think back to it, I could feel almost still the restriction. Okay, I want to be myself. I want to make comments here. I want to say these things. But let's think about it for a few more seconds and see how we can rephrase this so it doesn't come off haughty, doesn't come off, doesn't come off diminished, or exalt myself. And doesn't.
Which there can be some wisdom in if you're going to hurt somebody's, if you're going to be rude.
But I'm going beyond that. This was just, don't,
just like you wanted to crack a joke or, or you felt like, oh, there's a joke right there that I could say, but I can't do that because it's outside the
realms,
parameters of what we're allowed to do.
And you had to know what rooms you were in before you could even think about taking a joke or talking about jokes. I've tried that and it's gone flat, and people are like, no, this is a serious group. And I'm like, well, then I shouldn't be here. But it really kind of, looking back, it just diminished our individuality, the people that we were, and it didn't allow us to explore. Like you said, and I think your upbringing through the church system in middle school and high school shows that, where you weren't allowed to explore and find opportunities out there because you had one direction to go. You were to make babies, raise babies, and cook me dinner and keep the damn house clean. Okay? That's it. That's all you were. That's all right. You got it's not even a job. It's just your God-given talent.
I mean, it was, Mm-hmm.
That's what you're designed to do.
You don't need to get paid for that. And you don't deserve half the money for that. Yeah. I mean, seriously, even though a man would have to pay for that to be done by somebody else if he couldn't, if his wife was, if he didn't have a wife or something happened to her. So yeah, exactly. And I think something I thought of while you were talking is you felt that. You felt like you could feel yourself being restricted. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't feel that because I felt that restriction very young. So I really didn't know that there was anything else. Okay. I just thought this is life.
All right, you're doing it now. Now we're going to have to go and operate on two paths because that's the other topic here. You stirred this up in me earlier. The bubbles we put ourselves in because of these restrictions that eliminate our identity. And it makes us feel, I felt the pressure because I knew what was out there before. You didn't know it. I mean,
I hadn't experienced it.
Growing up, I had a I'd say, fairly secular upbringing until me and you met. And then after I started feeling that, restriction. And it was a conscientious thing that I had to do of, no, that's the fleshly spirit in you, Dan. That's the worldly mind that you're working with. Get rid of that. Let's renew the mind into Christ. And whoosh, my bubble got smaller.
Well, and even, and
my world got smaller. So And that's a whole other parameter of this to talk about, because not only do you limit your individuality, you accept that limited individuality. You're in this cage. I mean, you think about, and this I think is an example that you could relate to. Your parents grew up in a secular world.
Mm-hmm.
They came into Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started raising you in that. You knew nothing outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you were born in a prison cell, and that was your world.
Yeah.
No windows, no bars. It was just all walls and a solid door you couldn't see through. That was your world, and you accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
And you were told anything outside that prison cell was bad,
dangerous
and awful,
or evil.
It was going to harm you. Safety was inside of it.
It wanted to harm me. It was waiting for me to step outside so that I could get harmed.
Growing up in that, everything good happens inside that cell. So then you start accepting the lack as good and normal. So you don't know what's outside. And that's what happens to so many people that grew up, especially second generation and third generation and fourth generation. That cell gets smaller and smaller, and the restrictions get more and more. We were raising our kids in a tinier cell than you were raised in, because you had your upbringing,
yeah, because we
and then you
homeschooled them.
shrunk it down even more.
You're right.
And that's just the nature of
I think
progress.
at first we weren't, but yeah, that is weird because they experienced the complete contraction and then the expansion starting to happen,
and blew up
because we deconstructed in the middle. And so that could be disorienting too for a child. Like, what? I knew the rules and now everything, because we were like, how do we parent now? We don't know how to do any of this stuff. How do we work? We don't know how to do this. So there was a lot of upheaval with something new coming in. This is interesting, because this is a topic that I will have for the Candid Conversation it's already passed now. You guys have heard it. But I do want to say that I need to do a little plug for my little project that I'm doing on YouTube, which you'll see on this. This is
where these thoughts come from, listening to you talk about that.
Oh. So. Well, it's from it. So if you want to check it out, I'm doing basically devotions for those deconstructing, and it's on the Dan and Can channel on YouTube. And it's basically, I'm going through the Book of Awakening, which is a day book, meaning it has 365 entries that you read. I'm going through My Utmost for His Highest, which is a Christian, old school kind of Christian book. And then Jesus Calling by Sarah Young, which I looked up. It's pretty popular now for Christians. I hadn't heard of it when I was a Christian, but so I'm going through these books. And if you go back to like January 9th, I think, this is kind of talked about, where he tells a story in the Book of Awakening where he's cleaning his tank for his fish, and he fills the bathtub with water, which is bigger than the tank, and he puts the fish in there while he cleans the tank out. He goes back to get the fish after the tank is cleaned, and he thought the fish would be swimming all over in the bathtub, but they're not. They're just kind of in this little corner all by themselves, all together, just at the size of the tank. And that's exactly the illustration of what you're talking about. Like, they don't know what's outside of it because they're scared.
There's actual videos of experiments like this, and it's like with mosquitoes or flies, where they have them in a jar, like a vase that's curved and all this. Or I think it might even be a mason jar, and they kept them in there for like a day or something. And then they lifted the jar up and took it away, and they stayed within. You couldn't.
Okay, that's interesting to me, because I just had the thought, okay, if that's true, I don't think plants operate the same way. I think plants will go out if there's space. You know what I'm saying? They'll expand.
We actually did an experiment in fourth or fifth grade, where we had plants, and we had to take 2 bean plants. We had our old milk cartons. Had to collect some dirt, put it in the bottom milk carton, plant your bean. And we're going to pick one and put it on the windowsill. And we're going to put one in the closet, shut the closet, not open that closet, and see what happens. Ones in the windowsill grew straight up. The ones in the closet grew down towards the light. So instead of going straight up, they'll just
do whatever they got to do to get to what they need.
They went down and started going towards the light and started looking for it. So
yeah,
they go
because they don't have the same type of nervous system as the insects, and that, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know if plants have a nervous system. They might. I haven't really looked into that, but I know that like animals and stuff do, and mammals have a different nervous system than like flies and stuff. But that's interesting. So that's a side note that
Yeah.
because a plant is not, they're just going to do what they got to do to get what they need. And, and you can see that underground, the roots just go where they can, if nothing's blocking them, they're taking that space, it's not about, if they need it, they're going to take it, but they don't take more than they need. They just, if they grow, they're going to stretch out to get the minerals they need or whatever. So interesting.
So we got these two ideas now we're talking about: the individuality, finding yourself, finding uniqueness, and how we were steered away from that in the church because we were told to diminish. We were told you're not worthy. If you start, like you were talking about in the utmost for highest, there's actual, in the first few weeks of, you need to decrease yourself. You don't need to focus on yourself. Focus outside of yourself and make that focus outside of yourself, not on necessarily on others, but on Jesus. And if you're going to help others, make it through Jesus helping others. Because again, we got to build his light out.
It is repeated. Yeah.
And it was basically saying, don't take care, don't look inside, don't do self-help, don't do self-reflection, don't do anything intuitive.
It doesn't say that outright, but yes, and that wasn't really a thing at the time, to be fair. I mean, it wasn't something that many people did, but it's still like there were people that self-reflected for sure, but it wasn't. But yeah, he's basically with the idea of you decrease so that he can increase. And that same thread runs through the Jesus Calling book too, but it doesn't in the Book of Awakening, obviously, which is a more universal kind of spiritual book, but it's
and that
very human-centered.
Small bubble and stay in this. So if you had the Christian church and you lifted the church off, the people would still stay inside that wall of the church because that's what the
point is,
and they don't want to go. Yeah.
Think about how like parenting was in Christianity. The point was you teach them the rules of God, you teach them about Jesus, and the hope is that they eventually start monitoring themselves and following the rules without you there. Well, they will still hold to it.
But to that picture, the hope is that they learn the walls of the tank, the fish tank or the jar. So then when their jar's lifted, they don't go outside of it. Right? They stay within them confines always, no matter what.
And this isn't it's not just religion that does this, because American society has its parameters, and it's like, don't go outside of this or you're going to be considered, there's some sort of, I don't want to say punishment, but you're in some way you're outside the group if you go outside those parameters. Or we're in the Midwest. There's a Midwest way of living. And if you bring your East Coast stuff here, people are going to be like,
get that East Coast shit out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like that's how
West Coast
it is.
Guys, you stay the fuck out of here too. It's Midwest strong.
No, you're all welcome.
No,
you're all welcome. And we would like to leave sometimes.
That is the system, and it's designed this way to control you. Again, if you can lift off the walls and the people stay within them confines and don't go outside of it, I got them. They're mine. They'll do whatever I say. So now all of a sudden, and this applies to all systems and everything else too, the church will get its tithes. The church will get its free labor and all that. Amazon's going to get its people buying packages from them. Jeff Bezos is going to get his money. He's going to be allowed to do whatever he wants. The government's going to do whatever they want. They're going to be able to tell you this is how it is. And they all operate on the same thing. And they all use the same methods. Fear. Anything outside the walls that you're in is fear. Stay inside here. This is safe. Trust me. I know I'll be the one that peeks around and tells you how bad it is outside. Listen to me. But stay
I'll go out
there.
once in a while and come back and tell you that it's bad.
I'm strong enough. I've been blessed with extra armor from God to be able to withstand the wiles of the devil outside. And I'll tell you about it. And
that's why men are kind of in the fundamentals are allowed to go out and work. Women, no, they don't have strong enough armor. They're going to be swayed.
Yeah, you can't be trusted outside there, you feeble-minded females.
God.
Just kidding. It's sarcasm. So, but that's how it's set up, to control and manipulate us. And to kind of move this into the what do we do now type phase, and what we have done, is a video I saw earlier today with this guy talking, and he was saying, hey, you know what one key to success has been? in the world. And he said it was like a Harvard or Yale or something like that study looked at successful business people in the world. I said, what was the key to success? And he said, it wasn't education. They weren't the valedictorians. They weren't top in the class. They actually were mediocre and sometimes poor performers in school. And they looked and asked and saw why were they performing horribly in school. And it was because these people did not want to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were in school and being told, read this book, do this assignment, and conform to the system. And if you think about it, school is training us to be a good, diligent workforce. Show up at 8 o'clock every morning and stay here until 3:30, and you're going to do the work that we assign. And you're going to
memorize these dates and these people, and whether you feel like it's pertinent to history or whatever. Like sometimes it's the most. It's not like a full understanding of this event led to this event, led to this event. It's memorize this date, and everything's segregated in these little boxes. It's just like it's
not about what you learn. It's about what you're learning. You're learning to conform and understand the system. It's purposely set up for 8 to 3. Not just because that's the parents' work schedule, but then that trains the kids from 5 years old until 18 years old. I have to be up and at my designated spot by 8 o'clock, or I might get written up by the teacher, and I have to stay until 3:30. I'll get a lunch break in the middle, but I should stay on the grounds and do this. Maybe when I'm older, I can go off campus. But it trains people to be in the workforce. So then when they graduate high school, all right, I can go work now because I understand the system. I can come in at 9. I can come in at 7. I can come in at whatever. And I'm already trained for this. It's in my mind.
I know how to work like a machine and be a good little worker. I would say maybe kind of say this in a way, in school and your basic schooling system, you're taught what to do and what to think instead of how to live your life. And you are taught how to live your life. They basically tell you this is how you do it. You work basically 9 to 5 or 8 to, but they don't teach you how to live your life, and they don't teach you how to think. They don't teach you how to think, how to critically think. That's not something. Now, in your better schools, that's probably true. And the rich, I think, pay for that kind of stuff. And they are taught a little more, and they are given that creativity a little bit more. I think your schooling was a wealthier school. I think you had a little bit more of that than a public school,
a little bit,
or
but
a fundamentalist Christian school.
Yeah, a little bit, but there's a little bit there. We were taught, we were allowed to ask questions and stuff, but we definitely had to conform to authority.
And I mean, I get that. Obviously, you're shuffling a bunch of people, but this whole system is kind of flawed. Instead of kids, the Montessori method, which I tell people if they're even considering and they have little children, the Montessori method is really good because it's this system of the kids have to master things before they move on. It's not by age, which is crazy because some kids develop faster or slower than others. And it's don't push them along, just you master and then you master as you go. So, but the way we have it set up, it's, and everybody's in comparison mode all the time. And they do it through, standardized tests and, it's a mess.
So this guy kept going on and said, well, what did these kids do? And he said, these kids that were in school, they questioned authority. They didn't necessarily bow down to it, which made them step outside the system. It made them challenge the system and allowed them to operate outside the system, which gave them the freedom to create their businesses that ended up booming because they were outside the box. It was unique. It was different because they thought outside of it. So that was the key to it. And I think that's a great lesson to learn and take away from this, especially if you're deconstructing, because a lot of times you come out and you deconstruct from faith. You're still that fish in the bathtub because you never stepped outside the walls. You're feeling and banging, you feel the wall there, but it's not there. And it's tough to step through that because of all the fear that's been programmed into you. So you have to find the courage inside yourself to question that boundary and step outside of it and see. And the first step is always the hardest. And once you go out, then you start seeing things and it can grow and grow and grow. And then you end up being like candy and you're drinking from a fire hose of everything coming in at you all at once.
Well, what I'm hearing is there's hope for me to get my business to be super successful because that's what I pushed back when I was a teenager and it didn't go well.
No, you
I
got
learned how to
reprimanded hard for that.
I did, but I also then ended up deconstructing, which in my family, no one was going to dare to do because it was, but it was that personality trait that helped me, I just, but yeah, so then maybe there's hope for me to go somewhere with it. But I don't know. That's just interesting. That's true that, we live in that box. When we get out, even I think of someone who is like a pastor that deconstructs. That's got to be hard. But a lot of those pastors are then using those skills, those orator skills or whatever, they know how to like talk to people and they're using that.
Like Brad. We've had him on the episode.
Like Brad or like the naked pastor.
He's becoming a psychologist. The naked pastor we had on the episode a couple of years ago where he was talking about, he found that there was faults in what he was teaching. So he stepped away and went on and discovered.
I know there's a guy that I follow that, he's probably newer in his deconstruction, but he's really pushing out the posts, even on Facebook, where I'm a little more hesitant on Facebook. I've gotten way more bolder in the last year or so, but because it's just all old, a lot of the people on there, there's some MAGA in there in that feed.
But I think the biggest thing to kind of take away from here is to understand that these walls are false and have the bravery to step past that line, step past that boundary because it's not there. The jar has been removed. You're not inside the tank anymore. You're inside the big tub so you can swim around a little more. And it's kind of interesting to see. I'm trying to think of an example. It's maybe a dog that, had a boundary that's been removed. And they're tentative, but then all of a sudden they realize that boundary's not there anymore. So next thing you know, they're out a little farther. Then they're out a little farther than that. Then they're out a little farther than that. And then they're gone. No, but it gives you a chance to explore and look and find your individuality. And it's what every individual in this world needs to do because the systems want to quelch the individuality. They want to stomp it down and they want to suppress it and keep it away because then they don't have control anymore. It's easy to control the group, the fish in the tub that still hold to because I just have to monitor this one section of this whole tub. Yeah. But if the fish
if I can get to the people who control the littler people, if I can get them, then they're going to help me reinforce these boundaries. Yeah. So that's really what they do with the parents, get them in the church, and then they will help teach it in the home, and then if you can get a child while they're young, it's harder to leave it because that's all your community, my entire life was built around Christianity. That was my identity first, always. So I think that is, that's how they do it. And they use fear because if you're afraid, you are not using this part of your brain, which is where you make decisions and stuff like that. So you're not able to use it because you're in this fight, flight, or shutdown mode. So you're very easy to control. So that's why fear is the tactic that's used. Fear, confusion, and you can see that in the political world. You can also see it in the church itself.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up and start giving some practical things to do and what we should do, because we need to question the authority. Not to say, I'm not going to fall in line with what you're trying to say, but I want to know why you want me to do what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. They don't like you asking why. Oh, so man, I remember my dad hating me asking that.
But then I could choose whether or not I agree with what you're saying. I mean, you are in an authority position, and I can still respect that authority, but just don't tell me to do something and say, because I said so. Why do I have to do this? Okay, explain it to me. Make it make sense to me on why I need to pay this amount of taxes and these people that are making this much money don't have to pay that much. Explain it to me. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
agree with your
Explain it to
concept
me
here.
that, yeah,
I don't think this is going to
exactly.
happen. You know, then I can, you
Start
know,
asking some questions about why
yeah.
things are that. And also, like, I don't know, the quote comes to mind, like, well-behaved women rarely make history. And it's
Hmm.
not that we all have to like make history, but if you want to really engage in this life and, make the world a better place, it's not that you're going to just toe the line. It doesn't mean you're going to be this, screaming, you
Yeah.
know, the hate-filled woman running around.
Yeah.
No, but you will be like, when it's not right to follow the rules, I know when it's not right, because sometimes it is. It's the
Hmm.
best thing to do is to, you know, whatever the rule is. Like I think of traffic laws. It's, they're there for a reason. But are there times to break some of those? Yeah, there have probably been times when
Yeah.
people, it would have been like maybe you speed up over the speed limit to get around a car because it's about to cause an accident. I remember one time I was about to get hit by a semi truck because it didn't see me. There's an island between us or between the lanes. So I drove onto the island so I didn't get hit, sped up down the island, and got off in front of the semi right before the sign was at the end of the island. Was that illegal? Absolutely was illegal, but it saved my life and all the people's lives. And it also saved that driver from they didn't
Yeah.
want to hit us,
Yeah.
So I had to think very quickly, break the rules. And then I could sit there and shame myself, or I could just be like, I did what was right in the moment,
Yeah.
So that's the kind of
Yeah.
questioning of
Yeah.
authority we're
And
talking about, is
I think a
knowing
lot
what's
of,
right or better.
because there's a lot of fear that goes with that, because then it's like, oh, then you're bucking against the system. It's like, you don't have to buck against the system. I mean, maybe we should,
There will
but
be times you probably
yeah,
will, but yeah.
there are going to be circumstances where you need to, because it's going to end up saving yourself, others, and everyone around you.
Because the
But
system isn't for you.
yeah, it is, but
It's for
should
well,
be
it claims to
flexible.
be. Some systems are,
Yeah,
but yeah, then
but
a
you got to
lot
be
of
able
them
to
aren't.
operate the system to conform to the people around you, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. Anyways, beyond that point, the thing is that it's not this daunting thing that needs to be done. It's simple things of just asking the question, why? Or doing really, this doesn't make sense. Tell me and explain to me. It's little things like exploring your world. So instead of staying in the same trajectory and path and keeping yourself in the same bubble, try that other restaurant that you'd never gone to, because it's going to
Yeah.
do
Like, and
something in your mind. Yeah. Little things like that will
that's a
start
simple,
getting you out of the system. Okay.
yes,
Instead of
that's a
going
simple way
to
of,
the big
go
box
ahead.
store or whatever, let me try this local grocer and see what that's
Yeah.
like. And it just breaks this system and this mentality in you to keep conforming and staying inside the bubble. It puts you out and experiencing the world. And little things like that will start increasing your individuality. It'll start helping you question things that are going on and starts making you uncontrollable. And that sounds like a bad word. It's like, oh,
but you have tons of self-control. What
yeah,
it makes you is self-controlled. Rather than controlled by others, you become
yeah,
self-controlled. You decide when and how you will behave in a situation. And that's the only thing you really can control. You
mm-hmm,
can't really control others. That's what they're trying to do by
yeah,
using these emotional tactics, but you can control yourself. So recognize that they are trying to, and by they, I just mean these systems, and those who
mm-hmm,
are helping hold those systems up are going to try to
yeah,
control you. It's not just people in power. People right alongside you will want you to conform because it makes them uncomfortable if you
yeah,
don't. And the thing is that uncomfortable feeling is not I don't want you to feel ashamed that you've done that. What it is your nervous system going,
well,
this is unknown. I don't know what
yeah,
this is. So it causes you to go into fight, flight, or shut down. And instead, you tease it out by doing what you said. You go to a different restaurant
yeah,
or brush your teeth with the other hand
yeah,
that you don't usually do it. Write with your opposite hand sometimes. Take a different route to work. You may run into different people. You may have a different experience. You may like the new route. You may not, but try it. Uh, Another suggestion is flip your bed around and sleep on the opposite end, or switch sides with the person that you sleep with. If you have a partner, sleep on the other side of the bed. Do things in a different order.
mm-hmm,
Rituals are good, routines have their place, but this is if you want to kind of push that nervous system to test it, to let it see that things that are when difference happens or change happens, it can be safe and it can be good.
Hmm.
You tease it or teach it while you're in relatively safe experiences, right? Because you're kind
Yeah.
of controlling it so that when you experience it out in the world spontaneously, it's not so frightening. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
your system's not going to kick on so strongly, you
Yeah.
know?
And it, like I said, it's you start being uncontrollable, and we have this, and people are going to be, oh, uncontrollable. That's not good because we automatically put a negative connotation to that. You think of the kid that's flailing and screaming in a
You think
store,
wild and
or
crazy and
that guy that's a nut job running
disruptive.
around town. That's not what I'm talking about. Uncontrollable means that the people at top can't put their thumb on you anymore. You're not going to be a bootlicker anymore. You're going to be the one that's questioning it. And I think a good picture of this that you're kind of illustrating here too, to go back to what you were saying, is everyone's been in a meeting, whether it be at work or at school or something like that. You're in the big room, and there's always that one or two people in there that keeps raising their hand.
I know what you're going to say.
And
You're like,
start asking questions. And what's the rest of the group do? Oh, shut up. I want to get
well,
out
they
of
won't
here.
say it, but they think it. Yes,
Yeah. And some of them
absolutely.
say it to themselves and the people around them.
Or
This
they
guy.
sigh. Yeah.
And they
But
start
it's
to
like,
alienate this person. But
yeah.
that's all right. Because that's the group and the hive mentality. It's like, just let's get in here and listen to what they have to say and then leave. But people questioning are asking, why are we doing this? What is going on? What's going? Help me understand what's going on here. They're actually doing a good thing. It's irritating.
And if you
Trust me,
listen, yeah.
I've been in
Well,
them.
it depends. I think it's irritating if it's a person who's asking questions that like everybody seems to understand. I get that. But sometimes, and even those people will sometimes ask something that you're like, I actually really want to know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes they'll do something.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about, okay, it's tough to stand up in the group, that's what I'm talking about. It's tough to ask that, but
Yeah, you're right.
it's going to benefit the rest of the group because there might be some information that comes and it might get some of the people going, hey, well, wait a minute. Yeah, why are we doing this? It doesn't make any sense. Explain, okay, your explanation is horrible. And it starts to move people around. Be the people that are the ones, hey, I don't understand this. And that's tough to do. And like I said, and like we've been saying, the way to make that easier is doing the simple things in life that no one else has to know about. Instead of staying within the 5-mile radius of your house and only hitting the restaurants around there that you've gone to for the last 20 years. Hey, we've never tried this. Yeah, we never tried this, Mongolian food place before. Let's go in there. It may be awful. It may be the worst cooked food
but
in the world.
But it will be an experience. It'll be something you tried.
But it's something different that you tried. And then, I don't like Mongolian food. Okay, let's go try something different another time. And you still can go back to your usual ones every now and then, but mix in something different.
And maybe you don't maybe you don't like it the first time and you try it again. You're open enough to try it again and you find out you do like something or whatever. But what that does is it also just helps you. If you think of a child, they're constantly experiencing things new for the first time, but childhood is pretty enjoyable. Yeah. If it's not being like, if there's not abuse going on, it's pretty enjoyable because you get to explore and you get to try these different things. Just like you started out at the beginning. It's when the restrictions come in that it stops being so fun. Yeah. And, you think of a teenager. Teenagers just want to get away from their parents. If their parents are super strict, they want to get away from them so they can explore and kind of test those boundaries. And it's healthy and normal to do that. But if you, and all of this is it is difficult. Like you said, this is not easy stuff to do. To even raise your hand in a class and ask the question that you really have burning, because there is somebody else in there that has that question.
It's not easy to question authority when you're the only one standing up in a group. But
no, it's not, because everybody's looking at you.
And to train yourself to be more comfortable in that. And that's what we're saying here is that's where you start. Just trying different things, doing something out of your ordinary. Hey, we've never gone to country line dancing. let's go out there tonight.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
may
And
have a
it's like
clue. We may be
you don't
uncomfortable,
have to,
but it'll reprogram us.
and it's not the same as get outside your comfort zone in Christianity. Outside your comfort zone in Christianity is go make somebody else uncomfortable. That's what it felt like. You know,
Yeah.
go tell somebody about Jesus when you don't want to. But this is more, it should not, getting yourself outside your comfort zone should not be something you are terrified, like you do not want to do. It should be something you at least slightly are curious about, kind of want to try. And you kind of, you're nervous, you might be a little bit frightened, you know, that's normal, but don't do something that's just like, I'm not going to go you know, move to another country when I haven't even tested myself or stretched myself. You know what I'm saying? This is a stretching. We're giving you
Yeah.
ways to stretch that nervous system a
Yeah.
little bit to make it more flexible.
You're
That's what we're
learning to
doing.
crawl before you walk.
Yes,
And
exactly. And then eventually you do that enough times, you will eventually be living a life very different than probably
you'll
what
start
you are.
walking, and then eventually you start running. And running is, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Explain it to me. And that's all you get into, because then you become, and you start focusing on yourself. And that's a huge part, because I think I used this in a TikTok the other day and I kind of like it. I want to bring it up again. But the whole, I need to diminish so I need to decrease so he can increase is trickle down economics. He's got to get bigger, so then everything flows out of Jesus onto me, and it comes down.
Yeah, it is kind of. Yeah,
And that
I
flow
can see
is going to
that.
come down to the pastor,
It will
the
benefit me in the
husband,
long
and all
run.
this.
Yeah.
And eventually get to me. And we've seen trickle down economics and how well that's worked.
Doesn't work. Yeah.
But
They just hoard it at the top.
when we start focusing on ourselves and start exploring the world around us and trying new things and breaking the mind cycle that we have, because our mind's going to make us want to continually do what we're familiar with, because that's comfortable, that's safe. And you have to do something that you feel just a twinge of nervousness about every now and then to break.
You should
that
feel
mind.
some nerve. Yeah, you have to, in order to know if you're doing this, if you're stretching it, you have to feel that a little bit. You have to feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, I don't know about this. You know, you have to be nervous.
And just a small
That's
thing
part of it.
helps.
It doesn't have to be a ton.
Yeah. And
exactly.
when you start doing that, it breaks that cycle and starts breaking down the barriers and the walls that you have had set up by yourself and other people have set up for you. And then you can start accepting and going and moving on.
And you'll
Trust
get
us,
bigger.
we've done this sort of thing where
well, I mean, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if we hadn't started somewhere. You know what I'm saying? We are actually putting our faces out in public, saying stuff about deconstruction where family and friends can see this. Anybody can see this, right? Our faces are out here. We've put our names on it. And it's like, we're just following our own passions, you know, trying new things, and it becomes less and less uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Really. There are still things that make me nervous, obviously, and where I'm trying to stretch myself. So it's learning new things and trying to break the cycle that the system has kept you in. It becomes almost enjoyable because you're kind of like, where am I being confined that I don't want to be? There are some things I still do that I did in Christianity because I like them. I do them now because I like doing it, not because I feel like I have to. So we're not trapped.
And
big difference.
To go back to my analogy of trickle down. So increase to decrease to him, increase is trickle down. When you focus on yourself, that's redistribution of wealth. So everyone's getting this chance to focus on themselves. And then what happens is that they spend that out in the world around them.
They're happier. They're more joyful, and that flows out. Yeah.
When you can explore and become your own individual and enjoy and be comfortable within your own skin and be comfortable with, you know what? I like this. And I don't give a shit what anyone else says about it.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. And I'll hang out with people that can accept that or want to be part of that.
And if they can't, I'm not conforming so that I can be with them, because then that's a different version of me that I don't want to be. It's not authentic. I want to be me.
But that takes so much off of you that you have when you're trying to conform to everything else, so much pressure and anxiety.
Less
and
energy spent. Yeah.
And it makes you, it just naturally flows out. So then your little circle that's around you gets affected by the positivity that's coming out of you because you're doing something you want. And when you're doing something you want, you're feeling better. Your vibration's higher. Your energy's higher. And people around you are going to feel that. And that's going to affect them and affect them and affect them.
And it will shift things around you.
Yeah.
People will leave because they don't like that version.
Yeah.
But new people will come in because they're like, I like this person. And it's you. It's authentically you. So it's a much easier relationship because you're not having to be somebody else. It's more enjoyable for both parties if they're being authentic too. But I do want to say that in the Book of Awakening, it was on January 10th where.
Oh, geez, back to this.
Sorry, I just want to say that
You've already plugged it 10 times.
He will. He will say that is one thing that he's like your whole objective, like your job in life, and it's clashes with the other two books for sure. Your job in life is to be your authentic self. That's what you're supposed to do here, is figure out who you are and be it.
Yep.
Simple as that.
And it all starts with trying to find the boundary and then step out of it. Going to a new restaurant is stepping out of it. Trying a new hobby is stepping out of it. Trying a new experience is stepping outside that boundary just a little bit. Because that boundary was set. Everything in here is good. Everything out here is evil. And when you step out and you find something that's, why is this evil? Now you can come back and be like, hey, Pastor, yeah, I'm doing this now. Tell me again why this is evil, because it's not inside the Christian faith, but you said it was evil if I started doing this. And they won't give you a good answer other than the fact that now we can't control you because you're starting to find what you like to do.
Well, and this plays out into like allowing others to be their authentic self. And then you get around somebody, you're told all gay people are bad and they're evil and, you know, they're going to hell. And then you get up close to a gay person and you get to talking to them. And you're like, this person is a really nice person. They're kind. They care about the people around them. They love, they have a family or, you know, whatever. They're just a normal person and they have their, you know, quirks and then you can't, then you clash up against the idea of like, do they deserve an eternal hell? And it's just like a domino effect with all this stuff. As you get into the unfamiliar and you realize it's not so different. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not so different. Other countries probably are. There's a lot of similarities to us. And we think we're just this enigma that's, you know, we're not.
Humans are humans.
Yeah.
No matter where they won't go. That's why these systems work, because they're transferable to other all these humans that you're told that are so different and won't associate with you and you can't live side by side with because they're so different. The systems still work with them because they're still human. And you're going to start realizing that. So when you step outside and you're like, okay, I'm in this group that I don't like. Okay, it's, you know, it's uncomfortable. I don't understand what's going on.
They're very different from me. Yeah.
You start to learn, wait, no, they're not that different. They might have different tastes.
If you stay long enough, yeah.
And you'll learn. So I think to wrap this one up is just, you got a homework assignment this week, folks. All of you had something that you got a little curiosity about. Something that I wonder what that's like. I want to try it. But that fear has always held you back because you don't know.
Or you think you're too old, or you're or you're a woman and you can't do it, or you're a man and you can't do it, or, you know, like all those things, all the excuses you give yourself, but yet you're still very curious. Try it. Just a little bit. You don't have to go full-fledged into it if you're not ready.
Big,
take a step.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Like I said,
well, a little bit out of the ordinary.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're ordinary.
But we've given a few examples. Like I said, go to a new restaurant. Go to a different bar or dance club, or go, you know, whatever it may be. Try a hobby that you thought about that you think, if I do this, everyone's going to make fun of me. You don't have to tell everyone you're doing it. You're just learning it to see if you like it or not. And then if you do like it, then you can start telling people, hey, you know, this isn't so bad. I enjoy pickling eggs. It's fun. And I like what happens afterwards. You know, I I enjoy it.
It's a thing.
It's a good time. You know, I'm sorry. That's who I am. I enjoy it. I'm sorry. I'm an egg pickler.
I'm an egg pickler.
So, yeah, go out and explore something new and something small. So you know
that you enjoy. Make it, kind of tell yourself you're going to like this.
Yeah.
Something I'm a little excited about. Not just, yes, you want to be a little nervous, but a little excited, not anxious, like fearful, but you're kind of excited because fear or anxiety and excitement feel the same in the body. So you want to be a little bit excited about it.
Yeah. You want that anxiety. You want just a tinge of that anxiety. Then you know you're doing
Well, it's
something.
excitement, not anxiety.
Well,
but they feel the same. They feel the same in the body. But you need to be not terrified is what I'm trying to say, because some people in Christianity, it was like, do these things and you're terrified. No, like do something you're kind of excited about. Like you actually kind of want to try it,
Well, curious about, but you have that tingle in your tummy.
Yeah.
That nervous energy about doing it.
No have tos is what we're basically saying. No, like you have to try this. No, just I've kind of wondered about trying it before, or I always wanted to, but I kind of forgot about it. I'm going to try that, that kind of stuff.
So
start there.
All right. So learn that and try that. That's your homework assignment, all of you. And report back to us in the comments. And speaking of comments, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and follow. And leave us your comment on your homework assignment. Tell me how your pickled eggs turned out. Tell me how brine and brisket worked out for you this week.
Why is it all food related?
Look at me.
Dan wants to try some food things, apparently.
I like to eat.
I really don't know how I feel about pickled eggs. I've never tried them.
It's not your thing.
I tried. I will say, as we close out, I did eat a cricket.
You did.
It was disgusting.
Sour cream and onion flavored.
Oh, so gross. I won't do that again, but I did it.
So,
and I ate a worm.
Out. And it's all about, okay, before we keep going on, that's renewing the mind, which we will get on to something different.
Yes.
But we won't start a new topic right now. It's too long. No. YouTube. Go there. Like, subscribe, follow. We'd appreciate it greatly. Comment on your homework assignment. Let us know how you did. We'd appreciate that also because we love hearing your comments. If you're listening on Spotify or Pandora, Apple.
Oh, wow. That's old.
Pandora's old. Leave us 5 stars on the review. We'd appreciate that greatly. It just helps us out, moves us along, gets more people listening to us. The algorithms push us then. And there, you can spend a moment, leave us a comment on what you tried this week also. So I did it. We tried it. And then
check out my devotions series.
Yes. So go down.
I'm going to plug it again, Dan.
Below in the links. We'll have all our links to everything we do. Dana Can's the main one. You can go in there and you can find a link to the YouTube, which will have the links to Candy's devotional series. She also has some other links she broke out on there also. So go down there, click on anything we're doing. But other than that, you folks, step out. Try something new. Try something different. Break that jail cell that you're in. You're getting out. You're Andy Dufresne.
The door's wide open. You can walk out of it.
You're Andy Dufresne, but you know what? You don't have to climb through 400 meters of shit sewer to find freedom, okay? Do you know what I'm talking about, Candy?
Is that from Shawshank Redemption?
There you go.
Got it.
You're just breaking out of the cell, and your cell's right on the edge of freedom. You open up a little hole, you crawl through, and you're outside the gates, and you can go. It was a poorly built prison. So try something new. See what it is. Break that wall. Break that mindset.
And stop letting the people who are in the prison tell you what freedom looks like. Go out and explore it for yourself.
Because that they will hate. Because now you're becoming an uncontrollable. And that's what we want. A whole world of uncontrollables.
Well, yes, that are self-controlled.
Yes. All right. Whatever. I want chaos in this.
No.
All right. That's all we got for you folks this week. So you outlaws, have a great week and have fun exploring the world around you. Bye.
Bye.